Hare Krishna, my name is Jvalamukhi Dasi, and I'm continuing reading from my journal, the book that I'm writing, called My Hoo-Hoo and the Destiny of the Universe, The Golden Age, the Great Sinister Movement, and the Fire Walk of a Hare Krishna Kid. This is entry number 37, video number 37 out of the J-Files series. Thank you again for all of your support and your comments, for writing in and sharing your realizations and concerns. I'm happy to address them as I can. This is following that episode I had where I saw Beast giving a lecture on the Vyasa-san. Beast was the person who was very, very abusive to me in my early childhood. So I'm continuing here reflecting on the experience of seeing him sitting on a Vyasa-san in one of the ISKCON temples in India and flying into a huge, massive shock reaction. So I'm reflecting on that and going forward from there. It is interesting to note that just seeing a picture or video of Beast brings out the immediate processing of anguish and other gut-wrenching emotions. I have to put my hands up to cover the screen. I cannot bear to look at him. The next entry is from February 16th, 2012. Whoa, so much has happened. So many intense realizations. Eli, or my friend Nitai, Tim, and Yadupati passed away instantly in a car accident late Tuesday night, exactly 1 week ago. He was staying at our house as our guest with his friend who was also living with us at the time. We spent 2 days together talking about his prasadam distribution program, showing me all of the new tents and discussing menus and trailers. 3 funerals in a row. He also spent about an hour or so talking about his service to Radhanath Swami in relationship to his shingle outbreak this summer. He and another friend had researched, canceled programs, negotiated his travel, etc. Maharaj told him that he was like his mother. I was amazed to see his unassuming devotion to his spiritual master, no matter the cost. Radhanath Swami said that Nitai was with Srila Prabhupada and Yamuna Prabhu now. My tears and prayers are for those left behind. We will pull together and do Krishna Kitchen somehow, and it shall be so. What do I say about that? I know things that have been shown since then, and it's so easy for people to say, oh, so-and-so left their body and they're with Srila Prabhupada, they're with Krishna. But okay, yes, they have their mercy, certainly. And maybe Krishna and Srila Prabhupada escorted them to their new body, but it's not so cheap and easy to just leave the body like that and then poof, go back to Godhead. It really isn't. That's what I've been shown, is that even Srila Prabhupada said that it'll take most of my disciples 7 lifetimes to go back home, back to Godhead. So this whole idea of, like the Christians have, when you die, you just poof, go to heaven. And now the devotees within the organization are, I'm just going to chant and then I go back to Godhead. It's really a rare thing to be able to complete in one lifetime. And we pray that that's the case. However, what I have been shown is that many, many souls who thought they were good and going back to Godhead have come back again to finish up. So take care of your children, have strong families, develop Varnashram, because it'll be in your best interest when you may have to come back. I am having visions of huge kirtans and us on the road. I am determined to get my real estate investing stuff together, and my affirmation of, quote, I now manifest great abundance and excellent expressions of grace from Shishi Radha Shamasundar. My bank account matches my generosity and gratitude. always been trying to work on my my money making. There's been a huge resistance inside somehow, and I've not been able to get to it. And over the years, of course, this was written back in I think 2012, and here we are, 2025, and I've had a lot of realizations about my money issues since then. But yeah, that was always something that I was endeavoring to do some sort of form of business and fix our financial situation. And it's a real thing. Money and power, two things that I really wanted to reject in this life. Like, just on a core level, it was like, oil and water somehow or other, even though logically I know obviously you need those things in life for just living. I had such an aversion to anything that had to do with money and power on such a deep subconscious core level, that it was always like I would make all these endeavors and then they would just fizzle. But what I didn't realize, actually, there was one event, one of those, personal development events where you were supposed to overcome your inner obstacles. And to do that, they had set up, a facilitated swallowing of fire, where, the facilitator would have a, this burning thing, and then you would wet your mouth and just put it out with your mouth. And it was supposed to bring up your fears, and then a symbolic, oh my gosh, now I can swallow fire. Now I can take action on this, money-making endeavor and overcome my problems. So, I'm pretty brave. A lot of people say I'm brave. So I'm like, oh, sure, I got this. And there was all these people, like grandmas and, just regular people going up there and doing it, and of course there was facilitators. If something went wrong, they would spot you. But I thought, I got this. And then when I got there, I went on the stage once, had to get off, twice, and I tried it for a third. I could not bring myself to do it. And then I was castigating myself, like, what in the world is wrong with me? All these other people could do this. What is wrong with me? And this was long, long before that I had ever begun my process. But what I didn't realize, and what I've realized, is there's been so much trauma stored in my body related to all the events that I've gone through, and the aversion, deep aversion to accepting any kind of money or power, because I equated that with these guys and what they do, and never wanting to be like them. So that instruction between lifetimes that the Lord showed me, which I haven't gotten to yet in my J files, but there was a very, very powerful instruction that the Lord gave me, which was to transmute all of my experiences and hold none of them. So there's an untangling of the purport that we give to experiences here in the material world, and how to actually accept everything as belonging to Krishna without trying to covet anything for ourselves. So this is quite a process of unwinding. So I could speak a whole series about this, how what is spiritual and what is material, but ultimately it's very personally applied. What is one man's food is another man's poison. So it's not like I can just reject power and money, therefore I'm spiritual. Actually, there was a funny incident that Srila Prabhupada was relaying, how the bogi yogis, they say, there was some bogi yogi saying, oh, well, when people offer me money, my hand just automatically goes out, and I reject it because I'm so spiritual. And Srila Prabhupada said, when someone offers me money, my hand goes out and I say, more, because obviously he knew the proper use of money. And like that analogy, if you walk past a bank and you say, I renounce all the money in this bank, what a fool are you, because that money was never yours. So what is the use of your phony renunciation? So anyhow, that was just a short reflection on how many times I've tried to pull the trigger on doing something to improve our financial situation, while my dear saintly husband, carries the load. Okay, back to the words here. I am convinced of the eternality of the soul, and after deep grieving, shock, and prayer, I am at peace with everything. Mandali and Nitai's family were amazing. Mandali is a self-realized soul. We spent until the wee hours of the morning talking about her late husband, Nitai, and unfortunately, also about my experiences with Beast. She is a sleuth and said that while in Mayapur for her husband's last rites, she would keep her eyes open. She also brought up a very interesting point. When did Beast go to Chaupati? How was this strategically used to gain acceptance and then be put in a position in Mayapur? I was really on the edge this whole past month emotionally. Every time I had some space to allow the emotions to come to the surface, or when the emotions were just too intense to keep from bubbling out, the island language would come out. I would have more visions of myself in that other life. What I find interesting is, as the shaman woman person, even though I know that I did subjectively horrible things, like unwittingly betraying my people, like taking advantage of children, and I have in parentheses, calling the spirits a spiritual right. Ha, isn't that just ironic? Talk about religion in the mode of ignorance. Sacrificing a young woman, I think was my daughter and my granddaughter. Still, the self-perception was that I was just doing what was necessary, even if it was hard. I was a leader. I had to make sacrifices for my people. I was doing good. I was good. Just see how the conditioned self is made to act, even unwittingly, as if engaged by force, still thinking himself the doer and master of his own circumstance until it all ends in catastrophe. And that catastrophe is the Lord's causeless mercy to wake us up. Sand castles at sea, with all its kingdoms, smashed by the waves of time. On Sunday, I had such a force of emotion coming up, I resolved to go to the empty house down the street where my mother was staying so that I could give vent to the screams and wails of a heavy, heavy heart. I felt like digging a hole in the earth and putting my chest and my heart against the dirt, somehow to transfer the pain into Mother Earth, who bears all things. My mother came home just then, and the children were all around me with the usual needs and noise. I walked around the house looking hopelessly around the corners of the rooms. Somewhere, where could I hide? Where could I go to give vent to the tears in my heart? Relief came in the form of a phone call. Mahaprabhu was at home and felt the urge to check on me. Thank Krishna she is in my life. Anyway, she did a quick session over the phone, and there I was again, the shaman woman standing over a young, beautiful woman dressed in white, covered in blood. I think that she was my daughter. Questions flew through my mind, and I focused on breathing and staying in my heart. I saw a tavern or a house with old wooden walls and desk. Men looking like old Spanish military men were sitting there, and I was there too. There was some deal being made. I was being asked to do something for them, and I, in return, would get something. There was a feeling of evil in the air, and I could smell it. These things flashed through my mind's eye as I just felt the painful pressure of emotion release a little. We hung up the phone, and I felt relieved. My next session was in a few days. So yesterday, I stayed up late the night before, making cookies for the boys' snack day. I finished my rounds at 12:30 a.m. and went to bed feeling threatened. Maybe I was just overtired. I went to see the deities at the temple before I left to go in for my session, and I set my intention for that day of work. I want to lay down whatever does not serve and whatever information I need to go forward with my service. Let that become visible to me. I worked on Mahaprabhu's neck for the first half an hour. She has big things waiting for her when she releases that. Next, it was my turn. As I predicted, there came out more island drama and the words, "Everything is finished, everything is finished," which I have come to recognize are the meaning of the foreign words that repeat in that old language. Ekoto so pahinala, ekoto so pahinala. This was just going over and over and over in my head. Of course, I didn't know, I don't know what that language is, but it was coming out of me. I didn't want to waste time in seeing more drama. I recognize that all these events of the past have only meaning inasmuch as that I can learn from them. I don't want to just fill my consciousness with the details of lifetimes of karmic interactions. What would be the use? At the same time, if something keeps coming up, if the Lord keeps showing it to me, it is important because I still have not processed it, and thus it has contributed to me forming another body and set of entangling relationships. Thus, let me give it as much attention as I need to, just to let it go. In meditation, I raised my heart, wholly open in trust to Lord Narasimhadev. Please, please take whatever lust and envy, ugliness, anger out of this heart. You are an expert physician, and I am your surrendered devotee. I begged him in this way for some time. I became aware of the Lord in his form of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. I became aware that I had seriously offended him somehow and his devotees. Kamar Prabhu had made some throat noises indicating that she had seen something of importance. She asked me what was happening for me. I was too choked up with emotion in my prayerful state to speak. I told her later that I was told later by her that I would not lose where I was in process and to share what she had seen. She said that the name of the devil in Spanish came up, El Diablo. She saw that there was some kind of deal being made between me and Beast and the devil, and that I was being tricked into something. I told her that it was irrelevant to me right now, and that I was peaceful, knowing that I had to make things right and to be accepted back into the Lord's association. After all, wasn't that what I was asking for by praying to be released from envy and lust? Upon asking this, I felt rightly situated in my remorse for offenses made, but not immediately accepted. I felt the, let me see. Can I trust you? Let's run your credit and check you out. And I was okay with that. If I needed to be fixed in my japa and my vows for the rest of this and maybe many other lives to be accepted again, I was okay with that. After all that I had done, so be it. I will do whatever for however long it takes. I want to be with you again, my Lord. This is my determination. Let it be. I told her that I was peaceful with this resolution and that we could end the session there. She waited a few moments and did some of her checking and said, yes, let's try something, and then laughed, hearing in her mother's sing-song hearing in her mother's sing-song accented voice the words, you'll be sorry. In our work together, we often have a little bit of black humor just because it's necessary sometimes to lighten up the heaviness that comes out. My body began to largely undulate, as it does when she takes my energy up to light speed to blast things out of there. I jerked up with a gasp. A few months ago, I would have screamed in blood-curdling terror with the feel and vision of what I experienced. But now I had a little more self-control. The deep black, jagged, long pupil of an intense, fiery eye, orange and red, the eye of Picotu, El Diablo, Lucifer. Damien, the devil. It sucked me in. I flew through his eye that looked upon me in the split of a second. I was in hell. I saw hell, I smelled and I felt hell, and all the terror and deep, deep dread of that horrible place. A few months ago, I would have screamed my lungs out and disassociated over and over again in sheer fear. But now, having already processed so much of this kind of emotion in relation to the murders I witnessed in this life and the horror of my losses on the island life, I just breathed. I clung to the lotus feet of the most merciful Nityananda Balaram in my heart. I concentrated on being a soul and letting this experience pass just like all the others. I had to pass through this, but now I was fixed in my relationship with Supersoul and therefore not exactly fearless, but I was getting there. Breathe, breathe, repeat after me. In the past, I have given a lot of power to terror and to this darkness. I choose to no longer give terror and this darkness any more power. Mahaprabhu had me repeat this twice. Now I added on my own. I am spirit soul. I shall never grow old, deep, deep, deep in the love divine. I am his and he is mine, deep, deep, deep in this love divine. These familiar words flew through my consciousness. I said them out loud and told Pikotu, the devil, that our contract is finished. Even now, as I write these words, tears of great emotion arise. I told him, our contract is finished and I no longer belong to you. I am free. I want out of this gang. I belong to Shishi Radha Shamasundar. Suddenly, just as I was sucked into the eye, I was expelled forcefully. That embodiment of evil, that one all-powerful eye, stared at me intensely. The color had changed to fierce white and reddish ochre. Now around the jagged long pupil, the iris was more geometric and faceted. He pierced me with the question. The devil looked at me with the test. Are you really through? Are you? Radhe Sham, Nityananda, Balaram, Nityananda, Balaram, I shouted in my heart. I felt his presence in my heart, Paramatma, the original well-wishing guru. He who saw everything, he who awarded me but a small fraction of my due karmic reactions, was filling my heart chakra. I experienced the Lord's presence to be as an unending ocean of deep blue bliss and eternality, encapsulated in the shape of the most exquisite cut blue diamond. Instead of this jewel being hard, the surface was something like clear gel, soft like butter, but not oily. The weight and hugeness of this jewel easily surpassed the ether of terror a moment before. I was home. I had never left. We are still on speaking terms. All is forgiven. I still will keep myself on probation and be on my P's and Q's. I will not give the Lord any reason to doubt me again. I will serve. I will be exemplary. I will also be patient and forgiving with myself and others. This is what it is like to be at home. My intellect asked the question, all this realization is well and good, but what about the present day perpetrators? What about our duty to Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON? The answer came in the form of a vision. The second generations, hearts healed, self-realization revealed, this jewel of oceanic love, with just one wave of its tsunami, would completely annihilate the toothpick-like beasts, the other perpetrators and other in denial, fallen schemers, rapists, and murderers who have lived amongst us. And the parts of us that are just like them, through the sheer force of this love that is pure Krishna Kirtan, will be utterly washed clean. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan. Tears dripped down the side of my face through my closed eyes. Mahaprabhu put a tissue on my hands that were folded over my abdomen, and I said, I have waited lifetimes for these tears to decorate my face. I will not wipe them away just yet. I have arrived. I am home. There is still much work ahead of me. I am eager to do it. I am at peace now. Even when I lie down, grief pouring out of my heart through sobs and screams, I rejoice for the flow. Better out than in. I can feel now. I am safe now. I am alive now. I have a way to show my love to He who has seen everything, given everything, tolerated everything, and who is forever guiding me. Write, I shall give you the words, he says. Sing, I will provide the melody. My dear Lord, I pray to you to always hear your voice, to never commit offenses to your devotees. May I never forget my crimes in previous lifetimes or in this one, so that I will never, never have cause to be falsely proud and thus fall again. I fear this. I fear this. There is poetry in life. There is symmetry. My first flashback of ritual abuse began by seeing the eye in the pyramid and feeling the rush of terror. Now, I was spit out of the same eye, contract severed, and now I feel fearless. My process began with a prayer to Shishi Radha Shamasundar to allow me to see myself as I truly am, so that I may be able to see them as they truly are, so that I may move in this world freely and be empowered to inspire real heart change. I felt the temple room and heard from within my heart. I left from the temple room and heard from within my heart, come back. I came again before him and felt his eyes piercing me. Really? He said, really? Yes, yes, I replied, and with even more conviction, yes. Ha! If I had only known what that quote really meant, I would probably never have started this process of healing in the first place. Thank God we cannot see the future. We do not have the wisdom and foresight to understand. Everything is perfectly done and in the right time. Krishna is God. Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening. Hare Krishna.